Good evening and welcome to Be More Super Live with myself, Brian, and my co-host Dan, the man that can. Hello, Dan. You've been away on holiday. You don't look tanned at all. So what have you been up to?
It's this ring light. It's not doing myself any favors. I went to Tunisia, right? And if you've ever been to, there's like a belt across North Africa, Turkey, Greece, that type of thing, where obviously it's a different culture. You know what I mean? And it's not one that you're really used to. And so, like, if you be sat there, you're all inclusive. There's a cocktail coming every 5 minutes. I want one of these every 4.5 minutes. But then every now and again, the guy's cousin will come up and he'll be going, you want to do quad bike? You want to do get you a good price? My cousin Samir. And they're like, bro, I've come here to sit for 4 days. Just leave me alone. I'm too British for this. I can't do it.
You just want to lay on your back, not even read a book, but just get drunk and sleep, which is great. But you know
Exactly
what?
that.
We've got a great show this week. Literally, I have discovered this show in the UK, and it's one of my favorite shows. It really is. And it's got a star in it that I haven't seen in many moons. He was the original Aquaman. Back in the day, original Aquaman in the pilot, and he played Green Arrow in Smallville, which is great. So I can't wait to talk about him with our guest today. But this guest I first saw in The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix as Glory Days, and I want to welcome her onto the show. She's an actress, producer, director, voice artist, teacher, everything else in between. It's Fiona Rene. Fiona, welcome to the show.
Hey!
How are you? How is everything? Because the show is absolutely blowing up here in the UK and in the US.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, it just came out on Disney Plus, right? For you guys over there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's doing really, really well.
Yay! I'm so glad to hear it. I have my cat here today.
Oh,
what's his name? I demand a lot of cat interaction here. Who is this? Who's this little chap, fella, lady? What's the name?
This is Lily. She's the best. She's just been. If you hear her screaming, it's not because I abuse her. Okay, it's because she's just very needy.
She's an attention seeker. I've got 4 cats. I don't know where they are. Yeah,
get a
I've
hobby,
got 4
bro.
cats.
No,
it's the wife. She loves cats. Honestly, she keeps on saying she wants another kitten.
Rainbow woman.
Honestly, I'm a dog person. But saying that, we have got some nice cats, but they've all got different personalities. They're hilarious, honestly. But yeah, so before we get into the wonderful show of Tracker, I want to ask a few questions. The first question, because the internet lies. And I always do research on my guests, and one of these things that's popped up is where you were born. So a lot of places say England, and a lot of places say Montana. So let's put the record straight. Let's put all these, websites straight. Where was you born, Fiona?
I was born in Great Falls, Montana. But I lived in London the longest I've ever lived anywhere. So,
So I wonder where they got that from then, that you were born in England.
We started moving, mostly in London. I started working professionally for the first time there.
Whereabouts?
And
Where did you live? What part of London were you in?
E17.
Oh dear.
Well,
that is proper London as well. That's like proper cockney geezers and pearly cockneys and whatnot and jellied eels and all that. That's proper London. That is. But then the accent's kind of changed, hasn't it, Fiona? Like if you'd have been there earlier on, it'd been all cockneys, apples, pears, and all that. But now it's like, listen, bro, I told you, you better get out of my way, bro.
It's a little mixture of both. And then we lived. I moved twice. Hymes Park, Chingford area. So real Essex white, like T-fat. And I loved it. I miss it. I really miss it, y'all.
I currently live in Chiswick right now, and I find it hilarious because it's so wonderfully middle class, and Brian and I, we're not middle class, right? We weren't brought up in a middle class arena, so there's a lot of things happening that I don't understand. Like, why do they all wear leggings with socks on the outside, and they're not going to the gym. They're not going to yoga. They all carry yoga mats sometimes as well. There's also they always carry their coffee out right out in front of them instead of just I kind of carry them out the side of my chest. Theirs is always here. And there always seems exactly that. And and there's two types of coat. There's what we refer to over here as the Arsene Wenger coat. Big long padded jacket, comes down to your knees. They've either got one of them on, or this new phenomenon that started. There is a jacket in circulation called the dry robe. And I don't know if you've come across it. It's one of those big, huge coats that you put on if you go swimming in the sea. But the soccer moms have kind of accosted it to be there walking around Chiswick High Street holding their coffee out in front of them jacket.
Oh, Dan, you are going to change. You know what?
Oh, mate.
Give it another year, mate, and you'll be
Yeah,
wearing
1
tweed.
year we'll be
You'll be
wearing
wearing
that coat.
tweed and brogues.
Oh yeah,
and
I'm already having caramel syrup in my coffees already. So jot that down.
Oh, you posh person, you posh person. Right, so Fiona, I want to ask, what was it about playing a dancing banana that made you decide this is the career for you? That is the question. Forget the rest of the important question. We're going straight for the jugular. So what was it about playing a dancing banana?
I want to thank you for, digging down into the deep, dark history of myself. I really appreciate that, bringing it all to the surface today. That show in second grade, I played a dancing banana and a rainbow striped zebra. And I think it was the collision of the two, having to go backstage, change, do a whole bunch of lines, change again, start dancing, I wasn't the only dancing banana. I was with like 20 other dancing bananas. So I really felt part of the banana community,
But you were the best one though, Fiona. Like, you know what I mean? You stood out. In terms of the banana performances that were happening, yours was like the best one, right?
I was the most ripe banana. But yeah, I had a great time. I don't know, man. Like theater sucks you in whenever you're young, especially if you have a family life that isn't too community driven. The theater really becomes family and community for you, and I feel like the industry has kind of been that for me since day one, and it hasn't let up since. So I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon.
And where you grew up, was it very easy to get into, theatre and this sort of career? Because I know there's lots of very small towns in America where it's like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's the same in the UK too. You have all these like kind of little pockets everywhere. And no one
we're from them.
Yeah. So
this is as good as it gets for us. This is it.
No, it's not easy. You guys know it's not easy. All you know is that you do your class play, you do the school play. And then as you get older, there may be some kind of community theater or something in the town that everyone gets together, and the show is for 20 people, basically the families of everyone involved. And it's not, it's not on anyone's radar, but it means something to the people involved. And it's not easy. I thought that maybe I would, after school and doing a whole bunch of community theater, I moved around a lot. I came to London actually. And I thought, man, I'm just going to like go to London and do some theater and be on the West End. And there was a rude awakening. And, even in like, the big city of London, there's still all these tiny, tiny little pockets of people trying to make their own art and get it seen. So I feel, I don't think that ever goes away.
And what's been the hardest thing to tackle through your career to the point that where you've got to now?
Self-doubt, of course. I mean, I think that's for every artist on the planet. There's that weird saboteur inside your head that's like, who do you think you are? You think you can do this? Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? Yeah, I think the saboteur, she's such a cheeky little bugger in there, I'll tell you. But other than that, rejection, which I think goes hand in hand with the self-doubt. You have someone tell you that you're just not good enough, or you're not right enough, or you're too fat, or you're too skinny, or you're too white, or you're too Asian, or whatever. You just think that that means everyone's going to think that, and that means you should think that too. And it's a big load of crap.
Do you know what I've got to say? There are a lot of performers out there that must struggle at times with mental health. I mean, you've just like mentioned there the fact of rejection and self doubt and everything like that. I mean, in the UK, going to see a therapist or a shrink is near enough unheard of. But in the
I know.
in the
Oh my
US and Canada, they see him as like going to the gym. Do you know what I mean? It's like a weekly thing. Let's talk it through. And the brain is a muscle, sort of. And I think we should do more of it. But as an actor and a performer, you know, what sort of pressures and stuff do you go through? Because, I tried acting. I did a few films and TV, and I finished because it was a rejection, and it was because I was too fat or I didn't look right, and it was just ridiculous. So I just stopped because I just couldn't take it anymore. So this is
Well,
why I
Brian,
admire people like you.
I don't know. Part of me thinks that you're great. You should just get back into it if you love it.
I've
See,
been telling him, Fiona. I tell you, it is. We used to have an entertainments manager, Brian and I, who was she was insane, and she was God. It's going to sound really. If I come across misogynistic, my apologies. But she's a frustrated ex-dancer, and sometimes in that role, you can age out a little bit. And she'd been given a management role at a holiday park at this point. So anybody younger than her that was coming through, there was a real sting that if you weren't as good as she perceived herself to be, you were getting told about yourself. Would I be right in saying that, Brian? Like I feel like I've
yeah.
just ham philosophized and diagnosed somebody with a certain condition, but you know what I mean? It was really kind of really harsh.
I think that in the industry in general, but in any industry, anyone who is in a position of power, I mean, every human being, what we do is we project our own shit onto everybody else.
Mm.
That's like literally what everyone does walking around the universe is just projecting our own
Mhm.
shit. So, I mean, I could totally believe that. I think a lot of people, even I think that's why casting is so hard sometimes because their job is to really take themselves out of it, put themselves in the audience and kind of see what fits this role. But in general, I've found that there are two kinds of acting that I've been kind of like discovering. One is the kind of acting that I feel like we thought about when we were younger. It's like I can become anything. I can become Lady Marmalade. I can become a dude. I can be, I can become all of these things that technically are not me. And that's almost the most exciting thing about acting is like escaping yourself and
Mhm.
becoming someone else, this other character. Um, and then when I moved to Hollywood, I realized that booking a job actually required me to forget that way of thinking
Mm.
and to actually just be as me as possible. And the likelihood of me booking a role where I could become something else, something different, something unique that is like different from me. The only way that I was going to book that role later is if I broke into the industry by being myself now. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like a weird catch 22. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of Hollywood and there's
We
Yeah,
are getting an
you're right.
we're
Yeah,
getting an
you're right in the middle of
authentic,
Beirut.
reflection of what America's like.
Yeah, right. Like
Please.
I tell you what, Fiona, it's really interesting you've said that because you look at actors and you think, what sort of roles would I play? And I kind of look at roles like is it Dougray Scott that gave up the Wolverine job for Mission
Yeah.
Impossible 2? Yeah,
Mm.
whatever role he plays, I think I could probably do that one. Craggy faced English guy. I could do that. I could do that really well and just be tall and menacing and quite miserable a lot of the time. In my head, up until from being about 13 to about 21, I thought I could do anything that Jim Carrey did and just, you know what I mean? But now I'm thinking, no, I'm in my 40s. I derive no joy from the world anymore at anything. So miserable Englishman. Yeah, I can do that really good. I can really nail that home. So now, do you now get those roles where you can play a version of yourself? Are you established enough for that? Do you feel?
God, I hope. Oh, Shit, I hope so. I don't know, man. It's such a up and down roller coaster of like people know you, they want you, and then no one has any idea who you are, and you fall off the planet. And I think it's just going to ping pong like that for the rest of my
Do
life.
you
But
do you have you got any roles that you wouldn't do? I tell you for why, for example, right? So I have a real issue. Let me give you an example. I have a real issue with every time that people from Yorkshire are portrayed in anything, in a
mm,
in a TV program, in a theatre production, mainly. It's always, oh God, we're all so poor and we all work down pit and we're all bloody horrible up here. We're so miserable all the time. We are, but this is my opportunity to escape here. I don't want to perpetuate your stereotypes. You know what I mean? Is there any role that you kind of avoid?
I mean, that's a hard question because I think the job as an actor is to not judge the character and
Mm-hmm.
to just be the character. The minute we start judging the character, we fuck ourselves completely and in a not a great way. Um, but I mean, to your point about not wanting to perpetuate the stereotype, I mean, I'm not going to be super stoked to play a role where I am a submissive Asian woman who doesn't think for herself. But if the
Mm-hmm.
story required the character to start off that way, and then we
Mm.
got to see the character change and arc and grow, I mean, then that changes the story completely. And I'm like, hell yeah, I would play that. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
even yeah, that's even more exciting to play because we get to see her change. But in general, I'd like to think that I would be willing to play any kind of role, as long as you saw the character grow or you saw an arc or you saw them get questioned. Um, yeah, I think I'd like to think that. But in general, I don't know. When I think about the idea that I just said of like play yourself and then you'll have more doors open and opportunities to be able to play things different from you. And then I get cast as kind of like this bitchy lawyer type character all the time. I'm like, oh,
Oh, that's my
okay, shit, that's
that's
you.
my thing now.
But you
Guess
know
I'll
what?
just do that.
Let's talk about lawyers because let's talk about Tracker because
Yes.
this is incredible. So this
Woo!
aired straight after the Super Bowl, and it's classed now as the most watched telecast of all time. Of all time, reached
Wow.
18.4 million viewers, and Paramount Global says it's now grown to 30 million across all the platforms.
Ooh.
What does that feel like, Fiona, actually knowing that this show that you're in has been seen by so many households?
I don't know.
It's
I
crazy.
don't know.
I tell you what, Fiona. Let me give you an example. If I realised that I was in a series that many people were watching, by season 2, there would not be a blemish on my bloody face. There'd be Botox in here. There'd be injections because they'd be like, "There's so many people looking at my face." Like I wouldn't be able to tolerate it. I don't. Do you ever watch things back and go, "Oh well, I'm gonna get this tucked, and I'm gonna get a new
Yeah,
cream for that." And
I got human for the first time. I mean, it's funny you say that. You're basically saying my damn life. I went and got Xeomin for the first time, which is basically
Mhm.
like a Botox, and I can kind of move a little bit,
How do you
but
pronounce that?
someone
Is that with a Z?
this is my extent of judgment, okay? Xeomin, Xeomi.
You're laughing,
But
but Dan does have Botox. He does have Botox. You're
good
laughing.
for you, dude.
Me, I'm just
Whatever
growing
makes
old
you feel
gracefully.
good. This is what I've heard, and I don't think there's a right or wrong either way. Again, it's about you and your relationship with the saboteur inside your head. Whatever makes that relationship a clean and clear ecosystem, I support it no matter what. I heard from a woman named Diane Farr. She's on Fire Country. We were on Fire Country together. She's been in the business for a hot minute. Okay. So I'm like, tell me the juice. Let me spill the tea. Let me know what I need to do. And she said, look, you don't, as an actor, you want full movement of your face. You want full natural abilities. But when you have 2 months off in between seasons, where I'm at right now, getting a little bit of Botox as preventative so that you kind of prevent yourself from making new or deeper wrinkles in between seasons. And then once you start season 2 shooting again, you have got full movement of your face again. Hell yeah, I'm going to try that.
Yeah. And if you feel like it's not wearing off too quick, hot tip: go to the gym, sweats it out. So, for example, it normally lasts about 6 months. You get about, it's twice as fast. It lasts about 3 when you're overdoing it. So, for example, now I've got this line that's come back, but because of the Botox now, just on what you were saying, I've now got this new wrinkle that I've never had before. And
Oh
as I've let it roll out, I'm like, I've got a new wrinkle. Where's my guy? I'm gonna get another my guy.
yeah,
Give me the Botox guy.
it's so crazy. From Yorkshire to LA, it's what we do to like try and feel comfortable looking in the mirror, and I get it. I mean, you and me and everyone else on this planet, especially every woman who's had a child, who's like, what is this body? Who am I? What is this alien? We all have this, and I think, I don't know, as long as we're not mutilating ourselves, hurting ourselves, judging each other, and we're just trying to do what's best for us. Only we know that. I don't know what's best for Dan. Only Dan knows what's best for Dan. Anybody who else thinks that they know what's best for Dan can piss off.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get that as a tattoo. But let's get back to Tracker. Sorry, I can talk cosmetic surgeries all day. How much cosmetic surgery has? I'm joking.
So if you could tell all the viewers that are under the rocks that haven't actually seen this show a bit about what the show is about and whom you play.
Tracker is about a man named Coulter Shaw, played by the darling Justin Hartley. He is a rewardist who roams around the country taking miscellaneous jobs to find missing people and missing items for money. I play a character named Rene Green. She is a very boss bitch, high-powered Harvard Law grad lawyer. And she and Coulter have a tiny little bit of history that has created a nice little basis of friendship for the two of them. And she helps bail him out of situations that he cannot get himself out of. And it's, the show has changed a lot since day one, since the pilot. I think every story, just like our lives, is constantly folding and unfolding and changing right before our eyes. And we think we have a plan, and we sure as hell don't. And I think the writers and the creators on this show, I mean, they had a plan, and it's definitely molded and changed. So it's been really exciting to be a part of, to be honest. And the team is great. Ken Olin, I mean, legend and a half. It's been a really, really awesome process.
I mean, the cast in every single episode is just incredible, and we get some great guests come on, which we will talk about. But what was it about Rene that got you excited about the role when it came across your lap to audition for her?
Honestly, I came from a small town in Oklahoma. I'm kind of I don't know, a messy ball of fur in the dirt. Like I've never considered myself elegant or classy or suave. Those aren't words that I use to describe myself. And I think I've always wanted to achieve that. I always wanted to get to a place where I was an elegant woman or a classy woman, and I just never saw myself that way. And when I met Rene, I was like, oh, she's who I've always wanted to be. This smart, powerful, don't take any shit, classy, elegant woman. And so I'm just like flabbergasted that I get the opportunity to portray her. Like, that's just the coolest thing in the whole world.
It's just an awesome character. It really, really is. Sorry, Dan, you were going to say.
It's all right. I was just saying it was a hell of an intro. I really like the way you kind of exploded onto the scene. But I tell you what, Fiona, listen, we're going to try and sell some people some things from the Paymaster Generals, and then we'll come right back to you.
Yeah, won't be a second. Here we go with the sponsors message. So this is the sponsors message. So propstore.com are the sponsors of the show. I've got a little thing here at the bottom.
Where's the banner that ruined my gag?
There you go,
where's
the banner to ruin your gag. So Prop Store is the #1 place to get your screen use props and costumes for your favorite movies and TV shows. These are screen used by your favorite star that you've seen on screen that you can buy and take home. We've got a great deal at the moment. So if you want 10% off at the Buy Now section on their website.
What 10%, Brian? Brian 10%. Brian 10%. What's the code if you want 10% off, Brian? Brian 10%.
I'm trying to click it. It's Brian 10.
Boom!
It's Brian 10. So you press Brian 10
I'll give it
in
that.
the discount and you get 10% off anything in the Buy Now section. So treat yourself. Check out. They've got a great poster auction coming out, which looks amazing. And obviously me and Dan are going to go down in a few months to get our hands on some very expensive film props that we shouldn't be
I
getting
will
our hands
warn
on.
you, if you are buying something for the Buy It Now section and you are going to wait a couple of months and it comes from the UK store, be warned, I will have had licked it. So you better get on there now because you know the rules. If
I've
you
just
lick
got
it, you own
visions
it.
of the props now that you've licked. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Right. So
Imagine if this coaster is like like a
what?
just
A
one of them-
£10,000, Yeah.
Guardians of the
Oh,
Galaxy gun or something. Screen use. Well, mine.
Oh dear. What we're going to do with you, Dan? Right, back with Fiona. So I've got to say, with this show, when you book this role, I mean, you can decline to answer if you want to, but in the way of pay, I'm not going to ask you how much.
How much is it?
But do you get a chance to negotiate what you actually get paid, or do they just give you a fixed price and then you say yay or nay?
Fiona, I've been doing this show with him for over a year now, and that's the first time he's ever asked about this. So good luck on this one, because that's a hell of a question. Fucking hell, Brian.
I think Brian maybe saw other interviews that I've done and can tell that I'm an open book. So he maybe thought, spill some tea. In the industry, it really depends. Sometimes if you don't have great reps, I don't negotiate jack shit. Okay. My team is the lawyer and the manager. They're the ones that are back there doing the research, saying, what is Fiona gotten before? What I get paid next to someone else who works the exact same amount as me may be different because of what they've done in the past, what they've gotten paid in the past. So it really is, a sliding flexible scale, and who freaking knows. But my offer will come in, and then my team will negotiate that offer based off of, she's worked this much, she has this under her belt, the show's doing really well, whatever it may be. Can we get a little bit more? And sometimes instead of money, they give you things like being non-exclusive. So they may not give me a raise, but they may say you can do 2 other recurring roles, or you can be in second position on another show as a series regular. And so it gives me freedom to work more, but maybe I don't make as much money, and vice versa. So it is a very weird, flexible negotiation process that I have nothing to do with.
I've wondered that for ages about whether you're allowed to work on other things. And thank you for your big awkward question, Brian. That well navigated, Fiona. By the way, that was impressive. But I want to talk to you about the premise of this show. Now, for 20 odd years, I've been reading these books by Lee Child, the Jack Reacher series, and I'm absolutely blown away. These books are a cornerstone of my life. And people said to me, Dan, why do you like it so much? And I go, because this guy gets to kick a load of ass, but he's also got this strong moral compass. And I found that in this show. I found that there's it's got that element of it. And sometimes the peripheral characters in the Reacher stories are, essentially the rednecks that get their ass kicked. But there's enough mix of reoccurring characters and what we used to call in this country monster of the week, where everything gets wrapped up in a nice, neat little package by the end of the episode type of storyline. There's enough of that to keep me entertained. But have you ever drawn that correlation before, or have I just plucked in on something new and tell me I'm great? Tell me I'm great.
I've read something. I unfortunately have not seen the Reacher series or read the books, but I have read something that this is like a similar parallel to Reacher, in the sense that you've got this lone wolf who kicks ass but has a heart. And I think that's definitely Coulter Shaw. I mean, even Justin, He's honestly such a lovely actor because he's been in the game for so long. He's an EP on the show, and he still comes to set with all of these very specific ideas, the minutia of the characters. There was, I remember in episode 10, there was a line about me wearing heels while we go on like a fishing trip or something, and he was like, I don't think I should say you wearing heels. He was like, it's a little misogynistic. It's like he wouldn't say that to a woman. And I loved that because Coulter Shaw is, in a sense, a gentleman. The
Mhm.
way Coulter was portrayed in the books, I think it's the same. You know, he could have any woman he wants, but he doesn't just, sleep around with anyone, even though he could.
It's
And I
kind of
think it
like a
was a
byproduct of him being himself. It's just something that's happened on that day. You know what I mean?
yeah, and that is Justin. That is Justin. I mean, he probably could, do whatever he wanted. He's such a good-looking guy, charisma, suave, but like
What a minger.
there's I
Mate,
know,
I
God,
te-
get it
I
together.
tell you what, that first shot of him in the show, the first shot, there's a young girl called Jessie. She's lost. She's broken a leg, and his first
Yeah.
shot is this like I do not have the confidence, regardless of Botox or turkey teeth or not. I do not have the confidence to have that much of my face filling the screen. Like that is some
I don't
confidence
know,
in
Dan. I
your good
think
looks,
you do.
right?
I think you do, Dan. I think you're pulling one
Well,
fast one on.
But you know
you're my
what?
favorite.
You know what? I just like the relationship with Rene and Coulter, and
Mhm.
I, not to spoil it for anyone, but the moment I really like was when Coulter says to a guest star, "She's off the market." um, when and that's given me hope into season two. So what I wanted to ask is obviously the relationship between Coulter and Rini. You mentioned earlier there is some history. Do you think we'll ever see them maybe get together, or do you think that would ruin the dynamic of what they've actually got? Because it's quite nice to see them playing this game. And is it the little subtle sort of looks and expressions, minus the Botox, which is great. So, which is good to hear
It
that
can
you do stuff.
affect the
Everyone's
expression
gonna be looking at
sometimes.
my face with binoculars, being like, "Can she move?" Um, yeah. To answer your question, Bri, I don't know where the writers are going long term. They honestly don't tell me jack. And I think that's on purpose. I think that's for the character to discover as the character moves along. What I would like to see is I would like for them to have a moment of real intimacy, and that doesn't mean necessarily sexual.
No.
I mean that means vulnerable. I think that they both have a lot of walls up, and they've got great banter because deep down, I think they do love each other and trust each other, and they are developing that even more over time. But to have some moments where they kind of really, um, I don't know, face the night that they never talk
Mm.
about, um, or yeah, to have a moment where they actually open the door to some of that vulnerability, I would
I think
love to see.
they sometimes call it the beer clinking moment. Well, they'll be sat on the back of a truck looking out at a lake, and they'll be like, "Oh, do you remember that time we did this? Yeah, listen, you're great, mate. Yeah, you too. Beer clink." And then it just kind of fades to black type of thing. But I tell you what, because sometimes there's an appetite in the States for the two male and female characters to get together. It started to dwindle out now, but during the 80s and 90s, it was inevitable. It was going to hook up from episode one, right? But there's part of me that wouldn't want them to hook up, but there's also a part of me that would. But it's your character that gets up and fucks off in the middle of the night, and it never gets spoken about again.
So Coulter's character leaves in the middle of the
Yeah,
night,
yeah,
and Rini is like, "Who does that?" So I
yeah.
think
I'd like to see
I
that
would
reversed.
like yeah, I would same, same.
Yeah.
I don't know, Rini might be a little petty sometimes, so that could be possible. I
Ah,
do
the old
think that
seduce and abandon. I like it.
like Rini and Coulter can't be boyfriend and girlfriend. She's not gonna live in a trailer. Like, what are we talking about?
No, I don't want it to be a thing, but I wouldn't mind Fiona just leaving him in the middle of the night. I kind of, because it'd be a great callback to go, she did the thing. She did the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Revenge. Petty, petty revenge. Don't we love it?
Yeah.
Talking about guest stars, Jensen Ackles, which is another one of Justin's Smallville friends, and obviously Supernatural. Do you know, just out of curiosity, that the car that he has in that episode, is that his car, and is that the Impala?
I was not there on those shoot days. I don't know if that is baby. But it sure as shit looked like her, didn't it?
And
I
that is
know.
going on the internet at the moment. Everyone's going wild over it because he pats it as he gets into Coulter's big beast of a truck, which I've got to say, I want to buy. That
Big
truck
sexy truck.
is beautiful
Oh,
and
it
big.
is fun to drive. That truck is fun to drive. She's got some power underneath her, I'll tell you.
And talking about the scenes that you have with Jensen as well. I just think they're fantastic because Jensen's very well known for being a womanizer on screen. And the fact that he doesn't win with Rene, I think is amazing. I just think that you just brush him off like yesterday's news. And I just think it's fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I quite enjoyed that myself. Honestly, I think that's the thing about Rene is that you've got these two men who are gorgeous and charismatic and mysterious, and you think, yeah, well, any woman will get with them. And it's nice to go, no, no, no. There are women out there that have priorities past looks and charisma. It's like, I want some emotional availability. I want some vulnerable communication. I want someone that can actually step up whenever it takes, necessary stepping. And I think that should be something as women that we're like putting out there. It's like, I don't care how good looking you are or how mysterious you are or how suave you think you are. That doesn't mean that you get to just go and do whatever the hell you want, Dan.
Dan,
hang on a minute. I've got to
now.
delete
Dan's
notes here.
making notes. He's ticking them off like a box tick exercise.
I'm crossing a lot out. I've got a note here. What women want? No. Can I interest you in many a belligerent opinion on many things, even though I'm half educated on it? Can I leave that in there? Can I?
Yeah. Go on, yeah.
Right, thanks,
so the great thing about this show, 4 episodes in, it gets renewed for season 2. Which I think is incredible because, I've always said this, there's so many shows out there. We're in like a massive sea of shows. So for a show to actually outshine the others is incredible to see. And then when it's so good, like this show is, it's nice that the actual studios care about us mere audience members. So how crazy was it to find out that you were getting a season 2 and that actually, you were going to discover Rene's journey even further?
I mean, Brian, words are hard for this. My 14-year-old self is what really was experiencing that moment. Um, on one hand, it's like, yes, this is a job and a business, and we are adults and we are making this is work. And on the other hand, which is the majority of me, is like, holy shit, what? This is awesome. I'm so grateful. And I just want to appreciate every single moment because eventually one day it will end, whether it's in 1 year or 15 years. And so I really have been trying to just kind of like sit in it and be super, super happy, excited 14-year-old me. So yeah, to answer your question, I'm just blown away. I think it's so cool. I feel very, very lucky. And I think also in the industry, you hear stories through the grapevine of people who have been working on a show for years and they're like not friends with their co-stars, or they have like there's bad work vibes or whatever, and you're like, man, like, God, to live your dream but to like hate where you work is like, God, what a fucking nightmare. And I feel very, very blessed that I am surrounded by what seems to be some of the most wonderful people, from the cast to the crew, to teamsters, to hair and makeup, to executives. I mean, one of the executives, shout out Claudia Lyons, she's one of the VP executives of casting over at CBS. And I met her whenever I was going through the ABC showcase program. And to, as actors, I think a lot of us out there see the executives and the studios as this thing that's so far away, like these overlords that are governing the powers that be, gatekeeping the industry. And they're all just people with families and children and uh, diarrhea. Like everyone is just like these humans walking around, and some of them can be total assholes. And I feel really lucky that everyone that I've worked with thus far has just been so awesome.
And when do you start filming season 2? Is that quite soon, or?
Remember when I told you that I'm the last to know anything? Yeah, I think in July is
In
when
July.
we're going back.
Nice.
Yeah,
And,
sometime
and
in July.
and then we've got 2 episodes left of Tracker in the US. What can we expect? It's 2, isn't it? It's 14 episodes. Ron,
13.
13.
13.
We've got 3 more. No, 12. Oh my God, I can't count.
You've got one more,
So-
bro.
Is it one more? Is it one more?
Well, if you thought it was 2 when you thought it was 14, then one
Oh
less.
my
so now
God!
it's 1.
Oh my God!
I-
It's the finale. What can
It's
can
the
we?
finale.
What? Right, you
I
need to get back
know.
to filming tomorrow, because the thing is, what gets me is when you get enjoy a series and you've got that massive gap in between. It's like, what else? So what can we expect from the finale? Can you tell us, like, in a nutshell, what could happen? Because obviously we've met Russell and his sister and everything like that. Will we be seeing Rene in the last episode?
You will be seeing Rene. You might. She's got some interesting changes going on in her life that you'll get to see, which will open up some nice doors for season 2. And we've got an amazing guest star on this episode. Most of the episode was shot in a really beautiful area of Canada called Tofino. Rene was not there. She had some shit to take care of back home. But yeah, I think you'll get some really beautiful landscapes for this episode. The story with this guest star is phenomenal, and you'll you'll get to see some openings of what season 2 might bring.
It's just nice that it's going to end knowing that there's going to be a season 2. There's nothing worse than
I
getting into
know.
a show, getting to a cliffhanger, and then they go, "No, it's been cancelled," and you're like, "What?" You feel cheated. But talking about other shows, yeah, I mean, talking about other shows, The Lincoln Lawyer, Glory Days. Will we be seeing Glory Days coming back? Please say we will.
Well, I don't want to ruin anything for anyone, but the end of season 2, Glory Days, was so yeah, I don't know if you saw the end of season 2, but I know it's so Brian, your face.
You've ruined his life there, Fiona. He was sat counting the days. He's got little X's on his calendar, like in those old 1920s
Have I missed an
cartoons. Look at his
episode?
face. He's absolutely done.
It's
No,
the finale of season 2.
I've missed an
But
episode.
that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you won't see her in season 3. There's a lot that you have to find out about her story in season 3, and they may show you some history, flashbacky kinds of things.
Okay. So the answer is yes. She'll be coming back.
I kind of like it when they do that,
And
when
then
they
at the
kill off a
same
character.
at the same time, you've just ruined it for me. So you've answered the question. I've got excited, and then it's like, what? I think I've
do
missed
you
an
know what, Fiona?
episode.
He's even got a spoiler alert graphic usually ready to go. Like, you know what I mean? But,
Oh no!
but I feel like enough time has passed, at a show that Brian professes to have had seen, and all of a
I
sudden
love that show.
you're dead.
Oh.
Yeah,
See-
season 1, season 2. Maybe you got them mixed up a little.
Probably. To be honest, I'm watching so much stuff at the moment. It is crazy. But just to give a shout out on your podcast, You're a Radical Being, which you do as well, which is about mental health and everything like that, which is incredible. That's available now on everywhere that you find your podcasts. Give that a check out. Quickly before we say goodbye, did you know, Dan, she was in Bob the Builder live right at the beginning of her career as well?
Shut the front door.
She played Hollywood. Holly?
Yeah, Hollywoods.
Yes. See, I've done my research.
And
I
feel
when
like
Brian killing.
So
I know.
So Brian and I used to work at a holiday park where they had the licensing for Bob the Builder. So at one point we've all worked with Bob the Builder, which I really enjoy. That's brought us together in the in the cosmos there. And big shout out to my boys Scoop, Muck, and Dizzy.
Yay!
But before we say goodbye, it's been a great chat. I've noticed on your IMDb, there's no trivia on there about you, and
Give us some trivia.
You know when you look
trivia.
at the bottom, so I've got some questions lined up. So Fiona, most embarrassing moment on set, go.
Most embarrassing moment on set. Man, I don't really get embarrassed. I hate to ruin this fucking question for you, but I really don't.
Wait a second. Okay. There is a video when you were presenting and you had to call an ex. Was that embarrassing?
Okay. I don't know if embarrassment's the word, but we did have to call an ex live and it wasn't comfortable per se.
Okay. Yep. We'll use that. Obviously, I'm not going to write it on there, but yeah, we'll use that. Your craziest celebrity encounter. Have you got one?
That's not this.
Honestly, this is hard because it's either between, I think it might be Jensen on episode 12.
That's fair. He is a dreamboat.
I watched Supernatural growing up. And so, I'm like 16 years old, punk rock Fiona, thinking, yeah, let's monsters. It's either that or I saw Freddie Prinze Jr. at a weed store once.
Nice.
I was actually speaking to Freddie Prinze Jr. a couple of weeks ago in Chicago, of all places. But
he's great.
I will tell you about it after we come off here, why we're not live. And lastly, what is your party trick?
Oh, I've got a very good card trick. I don't even know how it works myself, but I have a really good card trick that truly makes me look like a magician. I'll have to show it to you.
Is this after a few drinks or before? Because the fact that you don't know how it's done and you think it's fantastic.
It's math. I'm a bad Asian. I don't know how the math works, but it does. And it's amazing. So I'll have to show it to you on the next tab.
Right. So we'd love to have you back when season 2 finally comes out for this show, Tracker. Thank goodness they called it Tracker and not the Rewardist. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have the same.
That gag running through. Is that a thing? Is it? Yeah, it's a thing. Every episode, absolute beauty of a gag.
But thank you so much for coming onto the show. It's been an absolute delight. Don't go anywhere because we're going to say goodbye properly after the stream is ended. Dan, thank you so much for being a great co-host. Join us next week, and we're going to be continuing our great guests week on week. But look after yourselves, keep safe, and everyone stay super.